Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I am doing another mid-month, almost the end of the month wrap up where I talk about the 5 most recent books I've read and give some mini reviews on each. So without further ado, let's get into the video. The first book I read is Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Yes, I'm basic and I gave into the hype and I bought this book because I couldn't stop listening to people say great things about it, and I wanted to know what all the hype was about, and oh my goodness, this was incredible. This was so good. I get it. I get the hype. I totally get it. I'm so glad I decided to pick up the audiobook for this as well. The audiobook for this is so good. It's one of the best audiobooks I've ever listened to. If you don't know, Daisy Jones and the Six follows this imaginary rock band group in the mid-70s and follows their rise to fame and their fall. And it's just so intriguing and gripping and so good. The way it's told is in interview format, like they're filming like a documentary almost, and so the way you read it is through just their like transcript almost, like you're just reading dialogue. So it's a really quick read, and the audiobook, if you pick it up, every character is narrated by a different person. So each character has its own distinct voice and like life that it brings, and the narrators are so good. It really brings the story to life in a way that physically reading it would still be good, don't get me wrong, but the audiobook experience was excellent. Like, this really felt like a real band, and I know everybody says that. Everybody's like, yeah, I tried going and listen to their songs on Spotify because I thought this was a real band, and I agree. Like, I want this to be a real band. I want to listen to their songs, and I can't wait for the TV show because Sam Claflin, yes, that's what it's all about. I am so excited to see Sam Claflin as Heartthrob Billy. Oh my goodness. And Daisy Jones. Whew, Daisy Jones is a character. Let me tell you, Daisy Jones is such a great character. Is she a great person? Not the best. She's really flawed. Throughout this whole book, you are seeing a side of Daisy Jones that is not portrayed to the public. Her public persona is this like really cool, confident rock star chick, and really, I mean, is it any surprise that really she's really insecure and is a drug addict and does all of this really destructive stuff because she's so insecure and so not confident with herself, and she's trying to figure herself out. And it's just such a fascinating story. And does this do anything like super revolutionary or new? No. I'm not saying it's like the most unique, crazy book ever, but I've never read anything like it, and it was awesome, and I loved it, especially since my favorite genre of music is like classic rock. Like, so all of these references to all of these bands during this time were so much fun. Like, I loved this. I ate it up. So I can't wait for the TV show. Just love it. Now that I've stopped gushing about that, the next book that I read is Sword of Destiny by Andrzej Sapkowski, which is the second short story collection in the Witcher series. The first one being The Last Wish. The Last Wish I gave did I even say what I gave Daisy Jones? I gave this 5 stars, like duh. Anyways, okay, so Sword of Destiny, I gave 4 stars as well, just like The Last Wish. I think I like The Last Wish just a teeny bit more though, because okay, I have an unpopular opinion here. Throughout this book, we see a lot more of Yennefer and Geralt together, and I'm not a huge fan of them together. Oh, I don't know if that's an unpopular opinion or not. I haven't like been like really into like the Witcher fandom, so I don't really know what the opinions are in the fandom, but I'm not a huge fan of them together. I like them as characters on their own. Like, I like Yennefer a lot. I love Geralt. Oh my god, Geralt's the bomb. But I don't love them together. Yennefer's just so mean to Geralt. Like, am I the only one who thinks this? So anyways, I mean, that's besides the point. I still really enjoyed all of the short stories. I think I like the ones in The Last Wish a little bit more, but this was still so much fun to read. I love the writing style of Andrzej Sapkowski. If you don't know his writing style, I mean, this is like adult high fantasy, but it's written like where the majority of it is dialogue, it feels like. So it's super fast reading and very easy to get through because it's not very description heavy like a lot of the adult fantasy books are out there. So this is actually a very accessible writing style to get into adult fantasy. It's not going to be for everybody for sure. Like some people aren't going to find it very captivating, but I personally do. It works for me. I really enjoy this series so far. And I mean, Geralt and Dandelion together are just like the best. Like they're so cozy. I love them. So I'm loving my time with The Witcher so far, and I'm really, really excited. Getting to meet Ciri in this book, I immediately loved Ciri. Like she was amazing. So I can't wait to now follow more of that story in Blood of Elves. The next book I read was Crown of Feathers, which is a young adult fantasy by Nikki Pal Preto, and this follows a girl and her sister who are trying to become phoenix riders in this epic high fantasy world. And overall, I gave this 3.5 stars. I thought it was pretty darn good. I liked the world building that was occurring in this. I liked the writing style of this book. I didn't think it was talking down to its readers like a lot of young adult can tend to do. The young adult I've been reading like recently has leaned a little bit more young, like the writing style's been a little bit more juvenile, and I didn't find that was the case with The Crown of Feathers. So I liked the writing style a lot. I liked the world building. I liked how unique some of the aspects of this world were. Love the whole Phoenix Rider stuff. Like that's really fun to read. This magic system has a lot to do with animages where certain people have the ability to talk to animals and kind of control animals, which is so much fun to read. Like I personally haven't read a book with phoenixes and like that kind of animal magic before, and it was a blast. Like that alone is so much fun to read. But the characters, I was very, very intrigued by the sister relationship in this book. And for the majority of the book, we don't get a ton of exploration with the sister relationship. The ending, I will say, was very, very good. But I wanted, like, my favorite character in this book was Val, the sister, because she was so mysterious and like kind of evil, and you kind of want to know like what is she? What is she doing? So I really liked her because I just like wanted to know more about like why she is the way she is and her story. We didn't get a ton of that, but the ending makes me think we will in the next book, so that's exciting. But yeah, I found that the characters, and we follow 3 different points of view, I didn't think that was necessary. And you know, young adult characters, like I want them to be dark. Like I want grittier characters in young adult, and I know we can't really do that in young adult, like they have to be like the heroes that we're following, but sometimes I want like the anti-hero. Like I want them to go to that dark place. Like Tristan and Sev in this book were so vanilla, like so just like I'm good, and that's who I am, and that's my personality. I'm just like the good guy, and I want like more depth to that. Like give me more. That's why I love The Young Elites by Marie Lu. If you're looking for like a dark fantasy hero who becomes the villain, oh, Young Elites is so good. So overall, like I really enjoyed this. I will continue on with the series. It just didn't blow me away, and man, I really didn't connect to the characters, and the characters that I wanted to follow, I didn't really get to follow in this book, but I think that's gonna change. Okay, the next book I read was The Outsider by Stephen King. I'm not gonna lie, when I saw the trailer for this mini series on HBO, I was blown away and immediately bought the book because it looked like the best show ever. And I gotta say, this book was wild. I loved it. I didn't like love it. It's not a 5-star. It's more of a 4-star for me because like Stephen King's previous novels that I've read, there's just a lot of it. Like, does it have to be a brick? Does it have to be over 500 pages? No, but it is really fun. Like, this is a fun story. There's definitely slower moments. I gotta say, like, I loved all of the characters, like they were great, and Holly was such a fascinating character. I loved when she got introduced in this story. I think I liked it. I think I liked it more than Pet Sematary, which I think is a very unpopular opinion because people tend to love Pet Sematary. Like, that tends to be people's favorites. I didn't like it as much as it, and I didn't like it as much as The Shining, but it is up there. Like, I really liked this Stephen King novel. I personally like when thrillers go supernatural. So if you do not like thrillers and horror novels that have a supernatural element to them, where it kind of almost becomes like a fantasy, then I don't think you would like this very much. It wouldn't be very satisfying. You wouldn't get the conclusion you were looking for. But I personally love that. I love horror novels and thriller novels that introduce this like otherworldly aspect. That stuff I just like eat up. So, did I even say what this book was about? No, I didn't. I am a mess this video. My goodness. The Outsider by Stephen King follows a man who is accused of, in this really horrific fashion, killing this little boy, and the detective on the case gathers up enough evidence to immediately make an arrest without even questioning him. There's several eyewitness accounts and DNA evidence that this really likable man in this small town killed this kid, and so he's immediately arrested, put on trial, and it starts to come out that there's conflicting evidence that he was actually in a different place at the time of the crime, and there's this conflicting evidence where he looks to be in two places at once. And so the detective on the case is now starting to question whether or not he has the right man, and that's where it kind of starts. So that's all I'm gonna say. I do recommend this if you like supernatural thriller horrors. It's not very scary. I did want it to be scarier, but it's not very scary. So if you're not like a huge horror fan, you could still definitely tolerate this. There are a couple creepy parts, but nothing that's going to keep you up at night. I just thought this was a really fun thriller with a pretty satisfying conclusion. I'm happy that like Stephen King ended this well, which is like not very common for Stephen King, or so I've heard. And the most recent book I actually just finished today is Lying in Wait by Liz Nugent. Nugent? I don't know. This book follows a husband and wife who kill a woman and have to cover it up. And I don't know how else to describe this without giving anything away. I didn't know anything about this novel going into it, and I don't think I want to say anything more because I really recommend going into thrillers as blind as you possibly can. So it does follow a couple different perspectives, and overall, I've found this really slow. Like, this story, it starts off with a bang. First sentence in this novel, and like that's all over the synopses and such on this novel, is, "My husband did not mean to kill Annie Doyle, but the lying tramp deserved it." I'm like, wow, like does that hook you and make you want to read this book? And I gotta say, like, from that first chapter, it kind of went downhill. Like, it started really strong, it had a great hook, and then it took a direction where you jump forward in time and are following like all these different characters, and they all come together at the end, but it just takes a long time for it to all come together. And I don't know, there's something about having all of the answers up front that's so unsatisfying in a thriller. For me, I've tended not to like thrillers when I have all the answers and then the twist at the end isn't really a twist, it's just how it all kind of plays out. It doesn't really like blow your mind or anything, it doesn't like trick you or anything, it's just kind of like, oh okay, like that makes sense, but it's not a surprise. So there was nothing like twisty about this book per se, but this is a really, really well-reviewed book. So I think I'm in the minority on my opinion here. So I would definitely still recommend this book for thriller fans out there. But for me, I've just been reading a ton of thrillers recently, and this one didn't really stand out to me. Like I thought the character work was done really well. It just wasn't thrilling in the way I wanted it to be. So I ended up giving it 3 stars. It didn't do anything really to wow me, but it wasn't bad. And the ending was pretty good. So I gotta say, it ended in like a really creepy, like messed up kind of way, which I like. Like I love a good messed up ending, but I just wanted it to be a little bit faster paced, a little more intriguing, and it didn't really deliver what the initial hook promised. So those were the 5 most recent reads. I had a lot to say about them. So hopefully you found a book that you want to pick up. Please pick up Daisy Jones and the Six. That's all I have to say. If there's one book to pick up out of all of these, pick up the audiobook for Daisy Jones and the Six and come back to me, report back to me when you do, and let me know how you like it, because hopefully you loved it as much as I did. And if you didn't, then I'm sorry that I led you wrong. I'm in a really weird mood today, guys. Hopefully this video wasn't too weird. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to. I release new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And until next time, bye!